On the edge of the small town, where life seemed to move a little slower, there was a small faded greenhouse nestled under an old maple tree. The house belonged to Margaret, a widow in her late 80s who lived quietly and sparingly. Since her husband died and her only daughter moved to the big city to make a living, she had lived alone, with only her tabby cat Timothy for company. The days passed quietly. In the morning, she brewed a pot of Earl Grey tea, placed it next to her worn Bible, and quietly read a few pages. In the evening, she wrote letters to her daughter, letters that were never sent. They were neatly stored in an old tin box, which she kept in her attic, a ritual of preserving something that had faded with the years. The people of the town knew her as a gentle woman, always there when a helping hand was needed. In the winter, she wrapped garlic bread and brought it to the shelter down the street, where homeless people huddled under rusty tin roofs. Although her health was deteriorating with age, she never missed a winter. One day, as she was putting the loaves in a basket, a shaggy-haired boy stood looking at her for a long time and asked, "Auntie, why do you always bring food for us? Aren't you afraid that you won't have enough to eat?" She bent down and smiled softly, "Because I believe that God will not let anyone lack what they have willingly shared." The boy was stunned. Perhaps in that look was something he had heard for the first time, a kindness that asked for no conditions, that needed no reward. That evening, after reading the Bible, Margaret knelt by her bed and prayed, "Lord, if my daughter is still angry with me, please open her heart. If she is in trouble, please protect her. And if possible, please give me a sign that she still remembers me." She did not expect anything miraculous. Her faith was not based on loud things. It was as quiet as the early winter wind, as a whisper between the pages of the Bible. Then, one Sunday morning, as she opened the door to sweep the yard, as she did every day, she stopped short. On the steps was a basket of ripe oranges, bright and fresh in the gray early winter air. Inside, a small card was neatly placed in the familiar slanted handwriting. "I don't know where to start, so I'm sending you what you used to share with strangers. Your favorite fruit basket. I remember you reading the Bible every morning, and I've never forgotten. If you're still willing, I want to come home for Christmas. Anna." Margaret sank down on the steps, her hands trembling as she held the basket of oranges to her chest. Tears fell before she could wipe them away. Each orange was like an apology, a hug from afar, a bridge to reconnect what had been broken in silence. That afternoon, she made tea, took out her notebook, and wrote a single line. "God does not forget what we do in secret, and He never forgets the words His children whisper in the night." She folded the paper, put it in a white envelope, and wrote on the outside, "To Anna, I'll be waiting for you this Christmas." On the windowsill, the late afternoon sunlight shone in, golden like a light blanket covering the lonely years. That winter, Mrs. Margaret no longer counted the days passing in silence. She counted by hopes, by the sound of church bells, and by each gentle breeze blowing through the old orange grove. And for her, that was enough.